It's forcing individuals to have these conversations with friends, with family, with kids, with teenagers. It's bringing it to the mainstream where before we were not discussing these types of things. So I see it as extremely positive, and this definitely the positive outweighs some of the negative. Just for example, that 40% study showing that passing a drink was sexual harassment. I mean, that's just silly. But the fact that there are people that think that and believe that, it's just, we need more education discussing about it. People need to use common sense and logic as well. That'd be helpful.
Bed. Love.
Bed. Love.
Beyond. Bed, love, beyond. Bed, love, beyond.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to Bed Love Beyond, the podcast for the hopeful and the hater in us to discuss sex, love, and whatever's clever with like-minded people like you who are also in limbo with love.
Like us.
I'm Martini.
I'm Jen.
And this is episode 109, Naked and Afraid. How do we date and mate in a MeToo world? All right, so if you have a topic you want us to explore or have any questions you want to ask, you can write us at bedlovebeyond@gmail.com or text us at 201-862-8BED. That is 201-862-8233. Yep, that's the topic we're going to talk about, and we have a special guest later that we will say, but obviously if you're already listening, you can see from the title who it is, but we're still going to save it as a surprise.
Just in case she doesn't show.
Yeah, so that's gonna be it. It's gonna be a packed episode. First, we have a lot of housekeeping to do. We have a lot of listener responses.
Whoa.
A ton. So I just wanna not necessarily run through them, but we definitely have a lot. So one of them. Oh no! It's a listener response trifecta. So we have from YouTube, from Facebook, and from Twitter.
Wow.
So thank you everybody who's been writing in, and again, you please write to us on any of the social platforms that we're on, and give us some suggestions. We had people who gave us suggestions the other day, and we're gonna run with them because
That's what we do.
Yeah, that's exactly what we do. So thank you very much, everybody. So one of them was from episode 105. This is from YouTube. And this is from Wayne Barton, and he was referencing the MGTOW episode. Oh, no, wait. This is from Wayne Barton, yes. And he was doing the MGTOW episode. And he was saying, for me, it's most definitely simple-minded, simply for the simple life and for the simplicity out of life, because doing the right thing in life for me is twice as simple, as well as life in general is as much better and easier. Okay, that's
Did you get any of that?
Yeah, exactly, right? Hold on. He says...
he just likes shit simple, basically.
Yeah, pretty much. But he was saying, if women say that MGTOW men hate women, well, then what about the female feminism that's completely destroyed men's lives, and what does that make them? And also, he wrote again, saying, as for me and my philosophy is that MGTOW is the only way. I'm going my way. So that.
Okay. I feel like I saw somebody commented Noble for president.
Yeah. That was from the MGTOW. Yep. Happy Roach 1 says Noble Casalupis for president. There's another one for the MGTOW episode, and this is Aussie Manly Man. And he says, one of the beautiful things about MGTOW is that it resonates with men from every nationality, every country, every religion. And we all have the goal of helping men everywhere to not make mistakes in their lives. A lot of MGTOW is the direct result of what feminism has done to women. Many don't want to be in a relationship with women when they think like a modern woman, mainly because most modern women are narcissistic these days. It's a great shame, but that's not what men want. As they say, the juice just isn't worth the squeeze. Or if you prefer, women fail the risk/reward test. Things might change in the future, but society is still heading in this direction. It needs to stop first before it can go in another direction.
Okay, cool.
So there's that. And also we had another response from the one and only Noble Casalupis on episode 107, Tambourine or Lead. And he said at the mark at 4:15 that I told the truth about life and proper YouTube way to riches attitude. Okay. So there's that. Oh yes. So we have another. This is from Facebook. It's from everybody's favorite, Superfan Sam. And she had a discussion about episode 107, I believe. Right?
Yeah, the one with RV.
There we go. Kudos to anybody who knows that jingle.
Do you want me to read it?
Sure.
All right. She said... Long pauses. It's a lot she wrote. So the latest episode was one of my new faves. Jen was on fire with the Adam and Eve jokes. I was literally laughing out loud in the car, getting some looks, I must say. Martini, your impression of Chris Rock was stellar. Loved it. Also, I totally agree that, in my experience, some, I'd say most, but not all, women do get thirsty for marriage and babies around the late 20s. It's a hormone evolutionary thing, I think. I'm sure there is some good science out of it. RV is a cool guest. Oh, I'm sure there's some good science out there on it. RV is a cool guest. Love that he has listened to loads of episodes too. I think having guests with the background knowledge of the podcast really brings an extra something, in my opinion. Not to April and Randy. I also have a comment about the listener's email.
Why don't you do that? Why don't you do this part in an English accent?
No.
Oh, so you can get me, but I can't get you? All right, go ahead. Go ahead.
See, now you made me lose it. Hold on.
No, I also have a comment.
No, I lost the whole thing. Hold on. Oh. I also have a comment about the listener's email. I was doing my joining in the conversation, but you can't hear me, but I do agree that all that was said, yes, RV. But but I would have added that it is so weird that he thought she owed him something. Like, is it the norm now that a guy can walk up to a woman and just expect that she feels the same way? Assumption that the girl was playing hard to get? Nah, Jen was spot on. I said that like me, not like her. The thing about him
little
paying...
patting yourself on the back there.
Now, the thing about him paying for lunch was totally his choice. And my Sabrina, she was never yours, boo. She never pretended to be yours. You most definitely played yourself, and it sucks, but it happens. Anyways, that's just me having a rant. LOL.
That's it. Yeah. So there's that. And the last one is from Twitter.
Oh, I don't get tweets. Tweet. Oh, sorry. There was like a little Facebook argument. I put this meme up on Facebook.
Okay.
About how men are not like doing traditional dates anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And somebody commented. Brian Barboza said, because women are no longer traditional, many just want a free dinner. RV was like, what's a traditional date? And then some girl, I guess who knows this Brian, says, she said in Spanish, you think so? She's like, on several occasions I took you out and paid the tab without hesitation. Men nowadays ain't traditional. All they want is the obvious and to give false hope. And then she tagged him in it. I was like, damn. I was like, I'm staying out of that one.
You're the one who put it up.
I know, but they obviously have like their own little fight about it. Like, I don't even know if they follow our podcast. But if you do, welcome.
Oh, man. So what are you trying to get out of that?
I just put it up. Like, it just
Oh.
says, why are men not taking women on traditional dates anymore?
Mm-hmm.
And then I wrote, is this a problem that affects everyone, or is it just millennials? And then, like, some people commented.
Okay, that's cool.
So
I found out. I found it. So this is also a reply to episode 107. It's on Twitter. The person goes by the name of Apex Predator. And they said, I thought that was a great episode. However, I think there is a double standard. If a female flirted with me and I flirted back, gave her my number and went on lunch dates, then told her to keep in touch when I left the job, all the while I had another broad that I was banging. that I was banging out on the regular, I would be the asshole for leading her on. My man's caught feelings, but that's because Sabrina led him on. Females need to let dudes know early that they ain't feeling them. When I know females are feeling me and they want something serious and I ain't with it. I dead tell them jump that this ain't nothing serious or I'm not feeling them in that way. Be friends or go your own way. I feel dude should have seen the signs that it was going nowhere, but he said that he felt that she was playing hard to get. However, Sabrina was foul, letting dude on, especially when she told to keep in touch when she left the job. There's that.
I don't know. I still don't believe that she led him on, but you guys are always gonna see it a different way. So
yeah. All right. We're definitely gonna get into what's it called? Daily Dish after our guest because our guest is on a very tight schedule. All right, we're gonna start in like less than a minute. What's going on? Welcome back to Bed Love Beyond. And again, this is episode 109, Naked and Afraid. How do we date and mate in a Me Too world? And as promised, we said we would have a special guest today. And she was last on episode 76, talking about turning your situationship into a relationship. And we just had to get her back because we just needed her expertise and to hear that accent again. It's a sexologist and psychotherapist, Dr. Kristie Overstreet. How you doing?
Doing great. Thanks so much for having me. I love the idea of Naked and Afraid. What a great show to be a part of. Congrats on episode 109. That's fantastic.
Thank you so much. So this is pretty much going to be a continuation of episode 97, who we had with Miss April Speaks, and was talking about he said, she said, and the gray area of consent. So pretty much, being naked and afraid, because it has been getting serious for a while now with the whole Me Too movement, and also the repercussions of that, of whether it's absolutely positive about the Me Too movement, and some of it being negative. Maybe some people don't know what line is to not cross and stuff. So like we've talked about it, Jennifer. Yeah. When what was it? The young generation, the
millennials.
Yeah, you really hate millennials, but they were talking about, what was it? 40% of them think now that passing a drink at a bar is considered sexual harassment.
Oh God.
So it's like, okay, what do we do? Because no one wants to go to jail on a technicality. So we wanted to get Dr. Kristie Overstreet to hopefully give us some direction into what can we do about that. So on your end, what have you been seeing, or what are your thoughts about the Me Too movement?
Well, I've been seeing a lot of women speaking up and speaking out, whether it's in my friend circle or therapy clients I'm working with, or just around in the community. This connection that these women are seeing that they're not alone. There's other people who have experienced boundaries being crossed and being sexually harassed and all along the range. But the Me Too has brought it out into our everyday conversations. And what I do like as well is that it's forcing individuals to have these conversations with friends, with family, with kids, with teenagers. It's bringing it to the mainstream where before we were not discussing these types of things. So I see it as extremely positive, and it's definitely the positive outweighs some of the negative. Just for example, that 40% study showing that passing a drink was sexual harassment. I mean, that's just silly. But the fact that there are people that think that and believe that, it's just, we need more education discussing about it. People need to use common sense and logic as well. That'd be helpful.
No, absolutely, no, it would, but at the same time, I mean, to quote back with the episode 97, it I don't want it to get down to a he said she said thing, you know. Right. Yeah, granted, the passing of a drink, yeah, it's silly, but how about if that holds up now?
I mean, I don't think this. I don't know. This is not really the day of age where you pass a drink either. Like, I don't know. Like, I was watching some like video on Facebook about some girls who were like at like I guess one of those outdoor concerts, and they were just like dancing around with their cups, and some dude was just like rolling by like throwing pills in their cups like as everybody was dancing, and like unless you really pay attention to the video and you're not like watching like them just act like party goers, you miss the guy just like plopping things in their drink, you know, and then he waits 20 minutes, sits back in the cut, and then you know they are non-coherent. So I mean, even in my day of going to the club, I say that like I'm super old, but I don't go like that anymore. But I would never leave my drink uncovered. I would never leave my drink unattended. I would never accept a drink from somebody else. I remember when some guy came up and brought me a bottle of water and it was opened and I didn't drink it.
Right.
I'm just like, I don't know about that. You know, and in some clubs, like, they won't let you have the caps for some reason. I don't know. That was a stupid rule, but, I mean, it's New York. What do you want? But, I mean, if you want to, like, buy a girl a drink, that's different. But, like, listen, I'd really like to buy you a drink. What are you drinking? And then in front of her, say to the bartender, can I get this girl?
Okay. As opposed to...
Right.
Okay, I get it.
Can you send her a drink? No, I'm not drinking anything anyone sends me. So...
But wait, but the bartender's still doing it. It's not like the guy made the drink.
Yeah, but, like, if let's say you're just chatting up with your girlfriends,
yeah,
and you're none the wiser, and a bartender just walks over with a drink and says, "This is from him," I'm like, is it though? Like, I don't know. I'm just like, no, I don't know.
Right? No, I get what you're saying.
I wouldn't consider it sexual harassment though.
Well, you're not 18 to 25.
Thanks, Martini.
no, but they're the ones who are doing it. You know, so, I mean, who are a part of that study, and that's scary. You know?
Well, I think that clarity, just what Jen shared, well, you know, someone's there saying, what do you want to drink? Okay, here, I'm grabbing it for you. I'm right there watching and observing.
Right.
Versus just this mystery drink coming out of thin air. That's definitely skeptical. And I think it's all in context, because if we take this back to something very simple, yet so complex to a lot of people, is just the idea of consent.
Yes.
Right. Consent, both people be in agreement with an activity, especially when it comes like a sexual activity or connection. Do I consent to this? Do I not consent to it? And if you're putting something in my cup and trying to put some extra special something in there, I'm not consenting to that. Therefore, we got a problem with it.
But also, men need to understand, just because I accepted your drink doesn't mean I want to sleep with you.
But maybe that's where the harassment comes from.
Right, but that's the thing. Like, that's not a woman's problem per se. I don't look at it as a woman's problem.
Right.
I look at it as a man's problem. Like, just because you bought me a drink, am I going to accept a free drink? Maybe I do want to talk to you and get to know you. Listen, if I don't want to talk to you and get to know you, I probably shouldn't accept a drink. It's just a shitty thing to do. Mm-hmm. But some women know, they're like, oh, let's go out, let's wear our low-cut tops, and let's go see how many drinks we can get. It still doesn't give anyone the right to believe that they want to be sexually touched or harassed or slept with that night.
Right.
Mm-hmm. They just want to go out and be them, and that's their way of, you know, their feminine expression or whatever it may be. But, you know, some guys go to a bar and like, oh, if she'll let me buy her a drink, like, you know, sky's the limit. No, mm-hmm. She just lets you spend your money.
Right.
That's it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, yeah, because they're trying to. It's an in, you know. Well, hopefully, because remember that story that I told you about that guy insulting the women at the bar,
right?
But like that was his in. You know, I mean, how crazy that is, but that was his in, and he got in. I mean, it didn't go any further than that.
Right, but they can sit there and chat it up all night and joke and laugh, and they might exchange numbers, but at no point does it mean like, oh, well, you let me buy you a drink, and you were like letting me flirt with you at the bar, so that means you must have wanted sex.
Right.
You know, so that's the distinction.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe
there's a lot of guys that think that.
Right, that's the problem.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, well, yeah, I guess it's just, well, I don't want to say it's a weird in, but I think that move is so known, it doesn't come off as genuine anymore. I think maybe that's it. Because like, how about if I actually I see you drinking, well, a lot of drinks or whatever, or having a good time. All right, let me like pass you something. But you might already think like, oh no, you're not sleeping with me, pal. Like, whoa, it's like I'm just trying to give you a drink. That's it. Like, and then I'm out of here. But yes, more times than not, a guy sees it as they're in, as just opposed to just coming up to you and be like, hey, how you doing, and whatever. So.
Right. I mean, I don't know. Millennials are weird. That's all.
Well,
I don't
think
get them.
Too, guys may be thinking if I do this, it's going to be a less chance of her saying, no, I don't want to talk with you, or blowing you off, or just walking away.
Mm-hmm.
It almost is this implicit, okay, well, I'm accepting a drink, therefore I'm going to say, hey, how are you? This is who I am. I'm here with somebody, X, Y, and Z.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you're better off just starting it, like she said, starting this, like, speak with a woman, get to know her, like, for a few minutes. I'm not saying, like, hours, and then just be like, hey, do you mind if I buy you a drink? Mm-hmm. 9 times out of 10, she won't say no, but, I mean, still, at that rate, it still doesn't mean that she wants to go home with you.
Right.
And guys, like, get they feel so defeated because, or, oh, you're such a tease. Like, why? Because I let you buy me a drink? Wouldn't you let me buy you a drink? Like...
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I just think like there's really no good way to flirt anymore, which is why online dating has become so prevalent, and you kind of just send text messages back and forth until one of you agree to meet at like some random coffee house and or dinner, and then see what happens. But the day of throwing on your charm, so I just think those days are over. And they should have been, because this is how we got here. Like, going out to the club and being, like, super, I don't know, like that greaseball guy who's like, hey, you're hot. Want to dance? Want to have a drink with me? Like, I don't know. It just doesn't work. And I think a lot of times it's, like, it comes off wrong. So that, now that women are, like, actually standing up for, like, their rights in their body, they're like, yeah, that wasn't cool. I didn't like that.
Mm.
So it's not going to work anymore.
So you think online dating is not the future, but that's the alternative?
I mean that, and I think like
so it's just safer.
Some millennials are like more into specific things. Like I feel like when we were in teenagers, like we all kind of had like our thing we were into. It was probably like music or something, and we all met at the mall, and that's where you like met people. I think when you get into like your little social circles, it's like easy to meet people like that, but I don't know. I don't really know what's gonna happen. It's just hard.
So, Kristie, how does one engage, like, with another person so that it's not like an accident or anything like that, or like, oh man, like I'm so sorry that you took this way, I didn't mean it that way, or like what do we do?
Well, I think it's really important to just stop and listen to the other person.
Yeah.
Treat the other person the way you may treat a best friend or a parent or someone you actually care about. Hey, this is who I am. I'm trying to say hello to you. This is what I'm into. What brings you here? This is what I enjoy. What do you enjoy? Just common conversation that's not pushy or too much. And I think where it really borders, and which is the opposite of non-consent, or what is the opposite of consent, is that refusing to accept no. Let's just say a person says, no, I'm not interested. I'm not dating right now, and the other person continues to be pushy. Well, let me do this, or what do you think about this, or just kind of keep circling back around. So I think if you just start with just communication and just being a nice person, it's the quickest way, as you said earlier, as an in. It's an easy in.
Okay, so all right, so let me ask you this: because I'm pretty sure I talked about this in another episode with Jennifer. What is the difference between, because we all know that no means no, but what is the difference between a no and a playing hard to get no?
Good question. Well, the difference, obviously, we know no is no, but no never means yes. The playing hard to get, we can't even touch into that anymore because things get so misconstrued.
Right.
If someone says no, you have to take it as no. Now, if you're role playing and you acknowledge, hey, I want to kind of role play. I want to kind of you just kind of back off a little bit. I want you to come after me. I want you to pursue me. And you're having this kind of dialogue. There's two people that are consenting, saying, here's what we're doing. This is the setup. Here's what it looks like. That's completely different than no means no. Hard to get. You can still play a bit hard to get and standoffish as long as your boundaries aren't crossed. But you have to be clear what that boundary is. Like, playing hard to get is like, no, I'm telling you, I'm pushing you, but I'm pulling you back in. It all has to do with the language and that boundary that person's putting out. And it's okay to be straight up and say, hey, I'm just wondering, are you playing hard to get? I just want to clarify. Right? And you may think, well, that takes some of the mystery out of it, but look at the alternative. The alternative is a lot worse. So why can't we just communicate and put it out there and say, yeah, I am playing hard to get. I'm just trying to give you a run for your money. Here's what I like. Here's what I don't like.
Right. See that thing, and thank you for bringing that up, the mystery thing, because I think it's a very fine line about the mystery of whatever, like romance or like sexual, like whatever, fornication, or just plainly just saying what you want and having it being sterile. Because back in the day, you would invite somebody to your house, and then, hey, do you want a drink or whatever, and then you guys get relaxed and easy, and then maybe you guys like sleep with each other. But now it feels like you can't even do that anymore. You have to be like straight up and say, hello, my name is Martini. Would you like to fornicate tonight? And it's just like, what? Because if you ask somebody, they'll probably say straight no, whereas before, if you did it, the way that I said, you might get lucky. So I think it takes away the mystery. So I don't know what you should do or what you can do,
Right. Well, Martine, I think it's interesting because if you kind of presented it like that, that would be a bit of a buzzkill, right?
Yes. No, exactly though. But that's the thing. Mm-hmm. No, go right ahead.
No, you're right. So with you being an adult, we take responsibilities for ourselves and safety for ourselves. So for an example, you got somebody coming over. She comes over, you make a drink, you start, relaxing, hanging out, maybe you start fooling around. It's for both people. Let's just say the guy in this scenario, hey, I'm starting a little bit. Is this okay? Does this feel good? Not okay. Not that you got to throw out a novel there, but just to check in. Is this okay? Not okay? And just pay attention to the woman's verbal and nonverbal communication. Verbal, a lot of times, is easier. Obviously, they're saying, yes, this feels good, a little bit more. No, I'm not okay with this. Please stop. The nonverbals is what I think a lot of times people miss. That might be the pulling back a bit, maybe moving the hand to a different space than where you're at. Maybe it's moving across the room and saying, I feel more comfortable on the couch than sitting over here. Watching for those nonverbals is very important because a lot of men and women, I'll just say from women in this circumstance, struggle to speak up, still struggle to say what's okay and not okay. Maybe it's their self-esteem. Maybe they feel pressured. Maybe it's their own experience. Maybe it's past trauma. I mean, it could be 900 different reasons that may keep someone from speaking up. So for guys, for the safety standpoint, make sure you're just checking in verbally and then watching for those nonverbals as well. This doesn't have to take the fun out of it. It actually can make it more fun because when you're checking in like this, you're paying more attention to your woman and what she likes. And if she's feeling good, she may be making sure you're feeling good too.
Okay. With the you're based in California, correct?
Right.
So are you familiar with the California law? With you have to like check in every like 2 minutes. That's like the dorm room law.
Yes, I'm a little familiar with that one. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I think that's where you were inadvertently heading towards. And again, I think that takes, even though it's absolutely safe, I think it takes away the fun out of it where I have to check every 2 minutes so I don't go to jail. So now I'm scared.
Yeah, but you know what? I feel like any decent guy I've ever been with, has done that naturally.
Right.
I think you're making it too mechanical. I think it's something that really does happen naturally.
Well, I'm not making mechanical. It's a law now.
I know.
I didn't do that.
But like, it should happen naturally. Like, are we good? Are we okay? Are we okay? Like, you okay? You feel okay?
Yeah, but sometimes girls are just like, just get on with it, man. Like, why are you like checking in every 5 seconds?
Listen,
Let's go.
But I think women got to be more accountable too about like gender roles and what we expect from men. Like I dated a guy once. Are you okay? Are you sure? Are you okay if I do that? Are you okay? I was like, what the fuck?
Somebody probably called him on
okay.
his shit
If I
before.
wasn't okay, I would say it.
Yeah.
But now thinking back to that, it was like maybe he's like, I don't want her to feel uncomfortable.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to touch her the wrong way or make her. Maybe that's what was in his head. But to me, I'm like, dude, shut up and fuck me.
Well, that's the consent, right? Well, okay,
right.
Well, let's get on. How about this? Okay, take it a little further. Okay, that's good. Let's do a little bit more. But I think, Jennifer, you're right in what you're sharing, because we know, guys, people ultimately want to do good and want to be good. Majority, not everybody. So that natural check-in and paying attention is what's really important, and most guys and most girls do that, but we know some don't. And that's what this is about, is not minimizing what's happened, but then not maximizing and putting more fear out there for guys. And I know it can kind of come down to the he said, she said, and that's why it's just important to say, I know what I do. I know I do it with all the girls that I'm with. I know that this is kind of how I do things. I check in every little bit of time. I want to make sure she's feeling good. If she doesn't, I'm going to pull back. I think it's really situational, and that's what can make it very tricky.
I saw this meme, I think it was last night, and I was trying to copy it to repost it, but I totally forgot. And I might butcher it, but it said something to the effect of, men, if you're unsure if what you're saying to women is okay, just ask yourself, would you want a man saying that to you if you were in jail?
Oh boy. Okay.
I was like, oh, okay, that makes sense.
That's one way.
One example.
So, Kristie, how do you feel about the consent apps that are out there?
Well, I think the biggest thing with technology, it's got its pros and it's got its cons.
Right.
I think it comes down to people's understanding of consent. We don't know what the definition of consent is, but what I may say is consent and what I see as consent, my partner may not. So that's where we can have an app, we can have, the clarity, especially when we're connecting with someone. But we can't rely just on those apps for that. I think anything to bring up more conversation and education, which is what they do, is a good thing. But we just can't rely solely on it.
No, absolutely. Yeah, because I have this article here from bustle.com, and again, it's an MTV research, and they were doing it from 18 to 25, and they were saying 1 in 3 young men say, I'm worried something I've done could be perceived as sexual harassment. And also, 68% of young people say, I think the lines are being blurred between what is and what is not sexual harassment. And 7 in 10 young people wish it was easier to understand what is sexual harassment, and they need education and empowerment on this topic. And I think that's absolutely true, because it's weird, because there was another article saying that a guy was doing one thing to he was being intimate with a woman. They were done, and then he wanted to he went to touch her boob, like one boob, and then she smacked him, and he was like, "Whoa, what happened?" And she was like, "You're supposed to ask." And he was like, "What? But we just had sex." So the next time he was with just another woman, he was like, "Can I do this? Can I do that? Can I do this?" She was like, "Let's go. You can do whatever you want. Like, let's go." So for him, he was saying it's very confusing because it goes by woman to woman.
Absolutely. Sorry that we've made it hard for you guys. Get over it.
I'm just saying that it could be very well confusing, because a guy might want to be extra safe, but let's say you want him to be dirty, but now he's not sure how far he can go because of what maybe his friend has seen what happened.
You would have one time. Like, tops. If it was a girl who just was like, I don't care, do whatever you want. So, like, the first time he asked, she'd be like, dude, you don't have to ask, just do whatever.
Yeah.
and he might still be like a little cautious, but like, eventually you guys get into your groove and that's it.
Maybe that's it, but then we've seen cases where after the fact, the chick comes like 2 or 3 days later and says, "I didn't like what you did to me," and you're like, "Whoa, you waited 3 days to tell me that?" Like, what are you talking about? So that's dangerous too. So I'm gonna be Mr. Safety Pants.
Well, let's be real. It's always good to be safe. Safety always wins. However,
that's true too.
You don't have to deflate the balloon either. I mean, you can still make it fun. And, guys can always say, too, especially in these kind of situations, especially when you're getting down to it, guys can say, hey, it really turns me on when you tell me what you like or how you like to be touched.
That's true, too.
And you're encouraging that female to say, oh, okay, well, let me show you, or let me take your hand, or let me do that. And if the guy gives her good feedback, okay, it's perfect. It helps me know this feels good. I like it when I see you enjoying it. It's going to encourage her to speak up more and give you more guidance. For a lot of times it can be the way it's delivered. You can actually get her to do a little bit more description in that way if you deliver it in a way that's palatable to her, which can change from person to person, we know. However, at the end of the day, we know that sexual harassment is unwanted, sexual advances or remarks or things that really are unwanted for a female, and it can differ from person to person. But it's important to know that am I doing what I feel is right, and am I checking in with this person? And that's really the best we can do most of the time.
Okay. So let's switch gears a little bit. How about how do you feel about work romances, especially in the MeToo era?
Mm-hmm. Well, we spend most of our lives at work. I mean, a lot of times we spend more hours at work per week than we do at home. And so when we spend that much time, we're bonding and connecting with people we are around. I'll tell you, overall, in general, work relationships are a bad idea, just across the board, because if you plan to stay at that job, you're putting your job at risk by doing it. And so you just have to know, if I'm going to get into this, if I'm even going to dabble my toe in this a little bit, I need to be prepared that I might lose my job. Now, when it comes to the Me Too movement and unwanted advances, that's where it can get really tricky because, we know what's okay and not okay when it comes to touch and what things may be crossing the line. But in the workplace, it has to be even more watched out for, because then you got the power dynamic. Not that you don't have the power dynamic outside in social settings, because you have it there too, between men and women and men and men and women and women. But the power dynamic comes in, and I think a lot of people don't realize what sexual harassment is in the workplace. They may just think that it's only, if he touched my boob, that's sexual harassment. No.
Right.
If he's doing, there's all kinds of examples in the workplace of pressure, putting pressure on someone by using fear or intimidation or possible loss of job. There are so many examples in the workplace that people wouldn't technically think of it as that.
Yeah, because we've had several emails from several people talking about trying to, have a budding relationship at work, and Jennifer has said countless times, do not shit where you eat. So do you agree with that?
I'm sorry, maybe it's not the most clinical term. But
I couldn't have said it better, my dear. You did great. That's exactly it. I just can't tell you really great stories of where it's worked out long term in that way, meaning people have stayed together, it's worked out in a healthy way, and they've been able to keep their jobs.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's not a good situation. It never ends well.
Am I prepared to lose my job over this? And if I'm not, that's your answer. That's like the decision-making tree. Am I ready to lose a job or not? If I'm not, I need to not do this.
And jobs are not easy to come by, especially if you have like a career. That's not something you want to risk for, a possible relationship.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I remember we used to have like
next door, right? Or the company across the street. If you want to get it close to work, just don't do it in the office that you're at,
right,
or in the company that you're at.
Right. Have you been seeing from? Of course, you don't need to delve into the stories, But have you come across couples in your line of work that have anything to do with like Me Too or anything like that?
Yes, I have. And what's been presenting itself the most in my world is doing couples work, and where there's a female that maybe hasn't shared in that relationship about what has happened to her in the past. She's been able to open up and talk with her partner about what she went through, and or even past experiences, whether socially or in work situations, because some of those things definitely have happened. And it's bringing more of that conversation around it. And I've actually had individual women coming in for therapy, especially in sex therapy related work, that says, hey, I've got some hangups about this. This has started coming up. It's triggered in me these memories. Here's what happened. What do I do? How do I discuss this? So it's definitely presenting itself more and more. And that's a good thing about the conversation, is it's giving people permission to talk about something that's really traumatic and hard to talk about, but it's being accepted and viewed in a positive light as an empowering way.
I'm so proud of the men that have been coming out.
I was just gonna say that. Well, not say that. I was gonna ask her, has there been any men to come out? I mean, have you dealt with any men in that situation?
Absolutely. Y'all, I mean, maybe you wouldn't be surprised, but I think just the public would be surprised at the amount of men who have been abused, who have had their boundaries crossed, who have been traumatized. It is a staggering amount of men. And I think it's really important to bring up, because we commonly hear about it from women, but the men coming up and speaking out about it is just so powerful.
Yeah, and that's really big of them, because I know like men are always taught to kind of like hide their feelings and not share, and
or be able to, how do I say this? It might be construed as like, what do you mean you got abused? It's probably like a good time, you know what I mean? Because
Right.
you were the chick.
I mean, but sometimes it happens by other men. So
Oh no, that's true too. That's absolutely true. Or the embarrassment factor. Like, really, you can take her down? Like, please, So
Right. It was your babysitter. You liked it, and then the men may say, you know what? I mean, I was a kid. I mean, it's not about like or not like. Of course, I'm gonna be aroused by the experience, because it's a physiological and a psychological arousal. But looking back at it, it's like, wait a minute, no, that was abuse. That was not
happened.
okay. I did not consent. I didn't have the ability to consent to that because I was a kid.
right. Yeah. That's true too.
I think though it does make dating hard. I mean, but I just think if you're open and honest, and I think some of the problem is that's scary for men is that there are women who are out there saying, something happened when it wasn't necessarily that. Like, we talked about the whole, I don't know if you're familiar with the whole Aziz Ansari story about how it went.
Oh yeah.
Right. So, like, I mean, I don't know if that's like a case of a bad date or she really felt like a certain way about it. You know what I mean? And it's really hard to construe because it's his story, her story, and the truth.
Well, he hasn't said anything.
Well, that's true. Well, he's probably better off not saying anything.
But I mean, I don't know if you want to necessarily give your opinion on it, but I would love to hear your opinion on it, on that particular story.
Well, like you said, he hasn't really added anything except in that initial
apology.
I think it was a tweet. I know it's been a while now.
Yeah.
Or the letter, or the statement.
Yes.
That
yes.
he put out there.
Yeah.
And it's tough because it is the he said, she said, but you have to kind of look through that. She had to feel some sort of way about his approach to it to come and take this space and to speak out in this way.
Right.
And that's what we're seeing. If we take that, and I'm not grouping everybody together, do not hear me say that, but especially as we see Hollywood and the patriarchy and how the men, with the power balance and the power imbalance
yes.
that comes with women, if we look at it and say, if we just had to say, which one's probably right, we're going to lean more toward the female and the woman for speaking up and putting it out there. But we don't know because, like you said, he, her, and then the truth. So it's really difficult. But I think the more we talk about this, I want to encourage men not to be afraid, not to be scared, not to be fearful. Just be smart and make sure you're what's in check. Keep it in check, meaning, you're wanting to experience being with this person. You're wanting to experience a relationship. Then do the next right thing always. And then that's going to keep you out of trouble. And I don't know that he did that.
Right.
I just don't know. It's a power balance, and it's this power, inequity.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's also hard when you're dealing with people who are in the spotlight like that because you by like coming out and saying like, oh, so and so did this or that, like that person gets kind of like some kind of moment of fame herself, you know, and you never like know if it's like genuine or not.
Right.
So it's very difficult, but I understand that like men are, you know, struggling right now with what to do, but just you should know what the right thing is. You know, you know that you shouldn't force yourself onto somebody. You know that you shouldn't, you know, be overly sexual. You know, if there's girls out there who are like that, who are just like, who would be like, come on to you, and then that gives you the permission to like roll with it. But if you meet a girl who's not like that, then, you know, you kind of just have to like meet her where she's at and then just go. And it may be confusing for you guys because you guys aren't thinking with the right head all the time, but, you know, you got to try and put a little effort in there.
Right, well, I think too, majority of guys are going to do the right thing. There's always going to be, you know, some out there that are not, just like there's some women that are not. And as long as you use the common sense, don't make it harder or more technical than it is. And if something unfortunately comes up where someone comes up and speaks out, you know what the truth is. And you're going to, you know, be able to recount that and share from your perspective. And even in this scenario, I mean, we still, you know, a lot of times won't know what the truth is, but as long as you stand in your convictions of what it is and you did the next right thing, it's really all you can do. Same thing for the female.
No, yeah, absolutely right. Yep. So, I don't know if you've been keeping up with the podcast. I hope you have. But Jennifer has a little update for you.
My boyfriend and I have been together for a year and a half. I'm 38 years old. He's 40. But we've been together for a while, and we've talked about it, and it makes more sense for him to move in with me. I know a lot of times, like, I stop myself from saying things because I don't want my boyfriend to resent me. Like, I don't want him to, you know, think that I'm just, like, here to nag him. Like, I just, at the end of the day, just want... I'm excited for the future, and I want him to be excited for it, you know, and he kind of, like, just takes life day by day as where I'm like, oh, my God, we can, like, get married, and we can, like, travel the world, and I'm, like, in my head, like, being a female and being a Pisces, I'm, like, all over the place, you know, and he's, like, based in reality. He's just, like, we have bills, and we don't live together yet, and I'm like, yeah, but we could do all this, we can do everything, it's gonna be great, and he's just like, calm your ass down. So, I mean, I definitely want to, like, take this month to kind of, like, fall back and kind of just see where things go. I don't want us to break up, but I do want him to understand, like, that, you know, I'm not gonna, like, be in this relationship for, like, another year, and it's gonna be like, oh, you live there, I live here, and you know, because at that point I just feel like, you know, we're all just dragging our feet here. So,
well, if I can comment quickly on that, Jen, first of all, he's lucky to have you, so very grateful he needs to be.
Oh, my boyfriend moved in with me.
Oh, yes, yes.
He's been here since December.
Yes. How is it going?
It's actually really awesome. Like, we really don't fight about anything other than, like, when I talk to him about, like, the future. So, like, I know he wants to marry me, but I don't know when.
I would say the worst ultimatums I see, because I see the fallout from, is when women give that ultimatum that if you don't propose to me by a certain time, I'm going to leave. And then what happens is either the guy goes along with it, is just mad and angry, and ends up acting out in some way. And the second example is when the guy says, well, I'm not wanting to get married right now. I need a couple more years or a couple more months or whatever, and I'm not going to do it. And she ends up staying with him. Then she's resentful. Then she's becoming, I'm going to use the term, nagging, or continues to bring up another ultimatum. And then they just get pushed further and further apart. So when they arrive at my office or through video with me, I start out by saying, okay, what are your goals? What do you want help with? And so we really try to get specific with what problem they want to solve. And I can tell you, and that's why I brought it up a little bit earlier, is all of these problems that a couple has all can relate back to trust, issues with trust. Every single one of them. Trust is triggered. There's an issue with trust. And so we start there in healing that foundation and trying to see where this intimacy and connection with one another is in tandem with trust, and work on healing that.
Some days he tells me eventually. Some days he tells me don't ruin it. Other days he's like very brutally honest, and he tells me that, you know, he kind of has like a fear because of like family history of divorce. And there's a lot that, like, you know, he's got to work out for himself that's going on with him. So I tried to like encourage him to maybe go for therapy for himself to kind of work those things out, because I can't convince him that he's going to be a good husband or a good father or any of that.
Right.
So, but I also like tried to explain to him that like time is of the essence as far as building a family. So, but I try not to like be too pressuring about it. Like, we do have conversations about it, but I don't know. I'm tired of bringing it up. But other than that, we're fine. Like, we get along great, and everything's like hunky dory, and every day seems like like the first day. Like, it's fun and loving, and we joke together. So, I mean, that's a good sign.
No, that's huge. And I'll tell you, if he didn't have some fear about it, I would be concerned. You show me a guy, I'm going to say guys for this. If you show me a guy that's not fearful about taking that huge, big next step, I would say I'm concerned. You need to have some fear in there. Fear can be a healthy thing. Now, we know we fear things we don't understand. He understands you. But sometimes we twist fear to say, well, worry about, like, what if?
Right.
What if something happened? And the fear of vulnerability, like if I take this step, and then looking at his past experiences and then kind of all that back stuff, it can be very almost debilitating at times. Here's the good news. He told you don't ruin it. He told you it's going to happen eventually. So it's going to happen. It's not going to be on your timetable. However, I do need to step up and say, if you are looking at having children, I know, or raising a family, however you see it fit, that does put a little bit of a time pressure on there.
Right.
And as long as y'all are just checking in every now and then about it, here's kind of where I'm at. You know, I went to my appointment. Here's what I'm looking age-wise. Here's how things are looking. Just want to check in and let you know, boy. So you're aware. You're doing great.
We're doing that now. We're, like, kind of going to the doctors and stuff to kind of see, like, where we're at, just so we have, like, a time. Like, I needed him to have, like, a physical timetable of, I don't want him to think I'm, like, pulling these numbers, like, from my butt, you know?
Right.
I'm like, you need a doctor to tell you that time is of the essence, like, you know, so. But yeah, he moved in. Everything's going smooth.
That's great. So let me ask you, especially because y'all both work, you got so much happening. I know so many couples do. How are y'all doing with the quality time? Just the two of you spending that quality time together. Are y'all finding that it's easier now that you're not driving back and two?
Yeah, a little bit. That part is easier. I mean, because on the weekends when I'm off, he works. So it's hard, but, like, since we see each other every night, like, we talk every night before we go to bed. We try to have dinner together every night. Sometimes we'll cook together, depending on what's going on. But, I mean, we're in the same vicinity regardless. Yeah, we try. Like, we do all our shopping and stuff together.
# relationship goals. I'm sorry, go ahead.
You're right. Look, I mean, you're right, Martini. I mean, y'all are checking off those boxes.
Yeah, but I mean, there's times where, like, I let him, like, kind of, you know, sit by himself and watch the news, or I go and watch my, like, reality shows in the other room, just because, you know, I don't want him to ever feel like he can't do what he was doing at home, or, you know, I don't want to subject him to my stuff.
Thank you. For all the women listening, make sure you have individual time. Jennifer, that's a great example. You've got to have your individual life and individual interest and time outside the couple.
Right.
If not, I mean, that just spells danger. So I'm glad to hear that, and I'm glad things are progressing, because it is, even though it might not be happening fast enough for you. I can hear that it is from his end. That's great.
Yep. Everything's smooth.
A++.
Yep.
That's awesome. So, last thing that I wanted to speak about was, since it is spring, well, you wouldn't know that because, like, it snows every freaking Tuesday. But I saw your video on First Coast News on your website talking about freshening up your relationship this spring. So can you please tell the audience what that actually means? What do you mean by that?
Yes, there is no better time to say, what can I do to work on myself to improve that relationship? And just as we're cleaning out our houses and trying to get things, pulled out, putting winter clothes away, pulling out the summer clothes and the warm clothes, do the same thing with the relationship. Air it out a bit. What do you need to get back to? Reflecting on what attracted you to the person in the first place. What do you like about that person? How are you doing with communication? Are y'all building intimacy, trust, and connection? Just looking at it from a different perspective than maybe you have before with a fresh set of eyes, especially with the weather's getting warmer. I mean, a lot of times people plan their vacation and time off of work around these next couple of months. So kind of get back to almost that kid-like teenage mentality where you maybe sneak around a little bit or you're making out around the corner, just something to freshen it up, because long-term relationships get stale. That's just what it is. But we definitely have the power to keep it fresh. If we don't think about it and if we don't put some work into it, that's on us. That's our responsibility. Then we just can't complain to our partner. We have to do what we need to do to keep it fresh.
Excellent advice.
I always think picnics are great around this time.
Yes.
They're like cheap, and you can make some deli sandwiches, throw them in a thing, go grab a blanket, go to your favorite park, and just kind of hang out, listen to music, and chat. No phones, whatever.
Yeah, that's a great day. And I love, like you said, it's such a low-cost thing. You're just grabbing some food and going. And it's the experience. It's getting outside the house, especially as the weather gets warmer. It's like everyone's hibernating and trying not to, freeze during the winter. Get outside, get some fresh air. And it changes your perspective. And maybe even try a park you haven't been to before, or make your list out for couples activity that you want to do in the warmer months. And check them off. Try to make sure you do, this is really important for couples, do things that you haven't experienced together yet if possible, because it can help bring just a better connection when you go through that experience together for the first time.
That's cool. So, do you have anything to plug for our listeners? Like your book or website?
Sure, they can check out some of the latest posts that I put up on relationships at KristieOverstreet.com, or check out my YouTube channel where I answer all kind of questions that get sent in from me to me to answer. And then also I have a virtual couples boot camp. So it's not therapy, it's boot camp, and it's 6 virtual sessions with me. We talk about communication, intimacy, needs, and how to make that happen in your relationships. And so that's available for anyone, regardless of where they're at in the world.
That's awesome. Cool.
Yay.
So is there anything else you want to say, Jen?
No. Always a pleasure having you. I appreciate your coming on and sharing with us.
Oh, well, thanks so much for having me, y'all. It's a pleasure to be here. And again, congrats on 109. Y'all are doing fantastic. Thanks for your voice and putting it out there.
Thank you.
No, thank you very much. It just like Jen said, it's always a pleasure having you on. You're great, very insightful, and you get down to like brass tactics. You don't sugarcoat it. You don't sugarcoat anything, so it's great. That's what we need. That's what we need.
Yes.
All right. So thank you, Dr. Kristie Overstreet, for being on the show.
Thanks so much.
All right. We'll talk to you later.
Take care.
All right. Yeah. So it was awesome. She's great. Yeah. Yeah, man. So yeah, it's getting tough out there, but Jen's right that now women can call us out on stuff, and they shouldn't be afraid to say like, hey, I'm not feeling that, because it does happen a lot that women after the fact are just like, yo, I really didn't like that, but they feel that if I said no, I don't know what would have happened. Would he would have wilded out? Would I would have been punched? Would I would have been killed? So I'll let it go, but I'm gonna tell him afterwards, like, yo, I did not like that. So now women can have the courage to say it during or even before, just like, listen, I don't do that stuff, right. or whatever.
Or I'm not sleeping with you tonight, but we can hang out.
Yeah, or like, yeah. So.
Well, that was insightful.
Yeah, it was. It was pretty cool. So yes, what's it called? You said you don't have any daily dish, right?
No, I thought I had some information to share with you, but it didn't happen yet. So when I have full information, I'll share it.
Okay, cool.
He's like, okay, cool.
No. It's because it's because I wanted to tell you something, but it was no. It's still about you. But because I was talking when I was driving Bridget home from the last podcast. We were talking about the podcast, and then we just got into stuff, and then she was like, "Yo, have you said that to Jennifer?" I was like, "You know what? I haven't said that to her, but I think I should because I think she needs to hear it, or at least I need to get it off my chest so you can hear it."
Oh.
It's fine, but it connects to this. Well, actually, it doesn't connect to this because this happened before what I'm about to say. I like what I saw on our Instagram. Jennifer shared a lovely picture of Kratos in the dark.
Yes.
And I loved your caption because I know what it references, but I don't think a lot of people do know what it references. So for one, I'll let you explain it.
Okay.
But
I'm trying to think what I wrote.
Jennifer does not like her significant other playing video games. I'm not necessarily saying her significant other, now her boyfriend. I'm just saying in general,
I had a problem.
She didn't like
There's a drunk rant video somewhere of me.
she doesn't like her whoever she was messing with playing video games. She was like, I hate you, fucking hate you. I hate video games. I hate video games. And she would seek men who would not play video games or maybe even hated them or whatever. And this was way back because of our favorite person,
Brooklyn.
Yes. And
blame him, fellas.
Did you want to say anything about that, or should I continue?
Oh, I just felt like he'd rather play video games than have sex or do anything really.
Yeah, because one of the many times that Jennifer would call me, she would be on the phone crying, and I'm like, what the hell happened? And she was like, oh my God, he doesn't want to even do anything with me. I'm like, she would be calling me in her room, crying, and saying like, oh my God, he doesn't even want to fucking like have sex with me. Like he's on the fucking playing Xbox. I don't know what game.
Probably Call of Duty.
Probably. And she would just cry. And I'm just like, whoa. And then like later she would tell me stories about like she would literally be in her favorite boy shorts in front of parading around in front of the screen, and he'd be like, yo, get the fuck out the way, man. I'm online right now playing Mama Boys, squad. And I'm just like, damn, like this is crazy. So from then on, she would just hate people playing. She would just hate her significant other playing video games, which was funny because she owns a PlayStation 3, PlayStation 4. She never got rid of them. But so I was chilling at home one day and I see on our Instagram, I was like, what the fuck? I was like, what? Why is Kratos on? I was like, huh? I was like, oh, he must got they must got God of War. And I was like, wait, whoa. I was like, she's letting her man play God of War? I was like, whoa. Let me see what's going on. And I see it. She's like, yo, sometimes compromise. What is it? Sometimes compromise isn't how you want it to look.
Right.
And I stood up from my bed in my Batman pajamas and I clapped. I gave her a standing ovation. I was like, my goodness, what a decade has changed. I was like, that's beautiful, because even maybe like a mere 2-3 years ago, she would have been like, fuck this. You know what I'm saying? She would have been like, no, I'm not messing with no dude playing no damn video games.
I really can't wait for him to finish it though. Like you saw, he like barely like said hi to me.
Well,
he went right to the game.
Well, if you sit next to him and watch, you'll know it's a beautiful game.
It is. It's nice. It's cool.
And I'm not even talking about I'm not talking about the graphics. I'm talking about the story. But it is a beautiful game though. It does look amazing.
He gets upset every time the son's like, "Don't leave me."
You should take that as a hint.
I know.
But
no, yesterday he came upstairs and he was like, babe, I was thinking about you downstairs, so I came up to see you. I was like, oh, that's nice.
You don't do that.
No, I was like, thanks. But then he was like, can I go watch news now? I'm like, goodbye.
No, acknowledgement is good, so that's good. No, but it's great that I saw that, so that was good. So my thing that I was talking to Bridget about was that and this isn't, of course, I don't know any like new information about your thing. This is just me talking as a collective of your relationship. So me, this is gonna be the blunt sentence and then softness after.
Oh boy.
The blunt sentence is, I don't want you to fuck this up.
Okay.
That's the blunt sentence. But now, it's because from my end and what I've seen, and technically we've only known each other for 2.5 years.
Who?
You and I.
Oh, what?
Yeah, technically,
Okay.
we've only known each other for
Okay.
2.5 years. We have, because of
Okay.
that big ass gap.
Okay.
But, from the stories that you've told me and some of the stories that I've lived through with the men that you've dealt with, I've seen that you have given more of yourself for less, if that makes sense.
I feel like if somebody was just got insulted, but okay.
no, they can be insulted.
Okay.
But you've given a lot of yourself for less.
Oh, in the past.
Yeah, in the past.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
I thought you meant now.
No. No, I'm not talking about your current boyfriend. I'm about the people that you've messed with
Right.
while I was gone and
Right.
while I was here.
Right.
You know, I've seen you cry twice in front of me over the same guy. And
Brooklyn?
no, your ex.
Oh. Snarl.
Yeah, no, but I'm just saying you have given yourself. You're a Pisces. You're a giver. So you've given yourself more for less. Okay, and so with the experience of even like dating me, like back in the day, you know what I'm saying? Like that, I guess that's why I like whatever I get pissed off every time you like talk about Brooklyn, because I was like, yo, and you've said that one of your favorite dates was with me, and whatever, and you've accepted more from assholes, but then like for the good guy, like whatever, like you screw over, So with this guy, now I'm talking about your current boyfriend. He's freaking amazing. Okay.
He's cool. I like him.
He's cool. I like him. And him and I, we have our similarities and stuff. And I feel that you are getting the best like of both worlds from him. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
So like, no, that's what I'm saying. It's like you're getting like kind of like, how like I was, whatever, but also with the freaking handy dandy tool man. You know what I'm saying? Like the man guy. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
So like you got this freaking brothel of like amazingness. And I don't want you to fall into the trap of like, yeah, this guy's great, but whatever. And then go off with some asshole. And again, give yourself for less.
Right.
I think right now you've gotten to a point where this guy, I'm not saying he's number one or the best, but
Whoa. He
no.
just got downgraded now.
No, he didn't get downgraded. I'm just saying, like, because no one's perfect.
Right,
That's what
right.
I'm saying. But you have an excellent combination of what you want in a man, and
I'm
so
aware of that. Thank you, though,
want
for
you.
taking
No, and
notice.
I want you to hold on and fight for it. You know what I'm saying? And he's fighting for you too. Yeah, but I'm just saying, I don't want you to just be like, whatever, man. So when I saw that God of War thing, I was like, wow, like she's breaking her own rules for this guy. Because I know you would have freaking flown that freaking PS4 for any other dude. Be like, fuck this. You better pay attention to me, whatever. But I think that he's worth it. So it's like, yo, if he wants to freaking play God of War, cool. You can freaking watch whatever you're going to watch. Or,
Did I tell you he spent almost $200 on the ColecoVision?
That was $100? I thought it was like 60.
No, not that one. There's one upstairs. I'll show you when we go upstairs.
Like the real
Like
one.
the
I
real
guess. Wow. Okay. But anyway, but what I'm saying is,
I was gonna murder him.
but what I'm saying is, it's cool that you are breaking down your walls for this dude.
Okay.
You know.
Thank you.
And I want to see you guys strive.
Me too.
You know, so I'm glad that you guys are together, that you found each other, and just hold on. Yeah, man, just rock that shit, yo.
Oh, thank you.
So I get happy when I see shit like that. Like,
Aww.
he's a good dude, man. Like, he's a good dude.
Because you guys bonded over your nerd thing the other day.
I see a lot of myself in him. That's why I don't want you to mess it up for the second time. That's why it's personal for me.
Okay, that's a little weird, but I got you.
No, you understand what I'm saying, though.
Yeah.
You know, so I see myself in him. So I want you to, to strive with this dude. You know what I mean? But yeah.
Well,
anyway.
I'll fill you guys in next week about all the other fun stuff in life.
All the other fun stuff in life. Yep.
But you know what tonight is, Martini, right?
Oh, I definitely know what tonight is.
Oh, shit.
Yes, it is the season finale. Well, by the time you hear this is done. But it's the season finale of Married at First Sight, our favorite show.
Team Jeffy.
Okay. Team no one. Okay.
Team John.
Oh, no. Yeah, my bad. Pause. Yeah, John is the best. Yeah. Well, for me, John and Jacqueline, I like both of them.
I was really proud of Jacqueline.
Yo, Jacqueline was not having it last episode.
I thought she was going to be a shit because she came onto the show with, like, recently deceased lover.
I still think it was wrong. I still think she should have took, like, a year and a half off, be her gypsy woman thing, and then come back.
True.
So, but I mean...
That guy's a douchebag. I don't think we're going to make it.
Oh,
all right.
No,
so let's make predictions here.
Oh, shit. Okay, go ahead.
Jeffy and Shanice, I think they're going to stay together.
I hope not, but go ahead.
I don't know why.
I don't like him. I don't like Jeffy. He's very immature. Okay, first off, all right, we're about to go in on Married at First Sight. Not to say that, oh, spoilers, whatever. I don't care anymore. We're gonna go into Married at First Sight. What I'm saying is, I'm letting you guys know right now so you can cut it off because maybe you might not like Married at First Sight, or if you do like Married at First Sight, you can listen to us banter. But it's the end of the show right now. That's all I'm saying. But we're gonna spend maybe I don't know, the next 5 minutes talking about Married at First Sight. Okay, 1, 2, 3. Okay, guys, see you later if you're leaving. But if you're staying here, you're awesome. Okay, so me personally, I don't like Jeffy. I feel he's very immature, and it's not even because 25. Of his age. It's not even. No, I'm not. It's not even because of his age. I'm just saying he's just immature, and he can't. Did I write this to him? No, I didn't write this to him. But I hashtagged it on Married at First Sight. It was like he can't get in Shanice's good graces without buying her something, and that's bad. And he keeps upping his buying things. Why would you buy a freaking puppy? And you know why he bought her a puppy? I know why, but let's see if you know why.
Guilt.
Okay, sure, but
I don't know why.
This is why I think he bought her a puppy.
We're a family now. We're gonna be together forever.
Nope, not even because of that. Right. I mean, I don't know the real reason, but my opinion is why he bought her a puppy is because what does a puppy do?
Keeps her occupied.
Yes, but gives her unconditional love. Oh. So when he can't give it to her, the puppy will.
I think you read into that too deep.
No, trust me, man. That's what puppies do. You know what I'm saying? Like, oh my god, like unconditional love, whatever. That's messed up. Don't do that.
Some puppies just piss on your bed.
No, but I think he's like, all right, the puppy is gonna keep her occupied because he's still very standoffish. Even though they fucked 15,000 times, he's still very standoffish to her. And
I think it might just because of the cameras.
Still.
Well, John and Molly divorced.
Oh, absolutely.
Even though they're gonna ask her, would you stay together if she blah 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 blah, they still shouldn't stay together. She's a heinous bitch.
No, they shouldn't stay together at all.
What's her
John's
face?
cool.
And
Jacqueline and
Ryan shouldn't stay together either.
No, because Ryan doesn't know what he wants. Well, he knows what he wants.
Ryan's a fucking turncoat.
He's a turncoat. He just doesn't know. No, he knows what he wants. He's just not getting it because he
wants to have a wife at home and wants to go out with his friends all night.
Yeah,
but then come home to a wife.
But the thing is, I get what he's doing to a point because what he's doing, he's been doing for a decade. So for him to just switch up his routine is hard.
John did it.
At the same
time,
time,
job to be on the show.
Yeah, but that's not
Ryan.
But it's not a routine.
All Ryan's on the show stuck. So.
No, except for Ryan R. Ryan R. was good. The one who had the one who had the niece with the dead parents.
Yeah.
It was from the same season 2.
Yeah.
He was cool. But no, actually, no, you're right. Because he was a douche. Because after he boned Jackie, what was that her name?
Maybe.
No, it was Jacqueline. It was another Jacqueline.
Ugh.
She was bad. She was hot. And she wanted it. He was like, "Oh, I don't know what to do with you anymore." You better what? You better get on that, man. She was hot. Jacqueline Bethune
Are you
or Bethune?
Are you gonna do Married at First Sight?
Dallas?
Philly?
No.
Philly.
You have to live in it. You have to live in the place that they do it.
No.
Yeah.
Shawnee's lives in Rhode Island.
Now, probably.
I wonder why.
You have to remember, this show is like a year old. They filmed it like a year ago. You know, so it's not recent.
I can't wait till they get on social media so I can stalk them.
You kind of already are stalking them because I was looking through our Twitter and I was like, why is Jeff D tweeting on our thing? And I was like, what the? She's following everybody. She's following all the contestants. Jen.
I want to know what they're doing.
Oh man, but yeah, I don't like Jeff D.
That's what I do when I can't sleep at night.
John is awesome. Jacqueline's cool. I like Jacqueline. She's cute. Molly, Shawnee's is cool, but I hope they don't stay together.
So you don't want any of them to stay together?
Correct.
Okay. I just want Shawnee's and Jeff to stay together.
But the thing is, I don't think. But when people say that, they think it was a bad season or they blame the experts. I never blame the experts. It's the people.
Yeah.
But I don't think it was a bad season. I thought it was a great season.
Yeah,
I don't equate a great season to everybody getting married.
Right.
Ever. You know, I'm like, man.
No, this was a better season. Just
Than what? Than last year?
Yeah.
Yeah. It was definitely a better season than last year. But yeah, I don't equate. Oh, they didn't get married. This show sucks. Like, nah, that's the breaks, yo.
Right.
Just because you got on the show doesn't mean you stay married. Them's the breaks, kid.
Sorry, guys, if I'm chewing in your ear. I've been meaning to throw out this gum, but I just haven't done it.
Time to kick rocks. But anyway, no, Philly's not next, is it? Isn't Dallas next?
Maybe they were like casting for Philly now.
Oh, maybe Philly is next. I thought it was Dallas. You're
supposed
supposed to live in the place.
Probably like a 90-mile radius.
No, you're supposed to live in the place.
Go live in the place.
Go live in Philly just for the show? No. They did. What's interesting, I don't know if it was Philly or Dallas or whatever. They extended the age. Now it's 25 to 40.
Oh man.
It used to be to 25 to 35. Now they did it to 40. I guess because people have been complaining that the show keeps picking very young people. Mm-hmm. But again, like we talked about, the average age of getting married is 27. So they're not doing it wrong. No,
they should do an older one. I bet y'all they'll have more success rate. Because anyone over 35 knows exactly what they want.
But that doesn't always work out though. So but
I bet it will work out better.
No, but what I mean is that maybe we'll see more adult problems.
Yeah.
You know, so that would be interesting. To see. So who would you want, like a 30, 35, 36-year-old like that?
Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be good. Yeah, I would like that.
I'm with it.
Yeah. Anyway.
Oh, that's all I have, and my ears are sweating.
Yeah. No, I mean, that's the end of the show. So thank you for everybody for sticking in, and thank you, Dr. Kristie Overstreet. You are amazing as always. So what do you guys think? Do you think men are overreacting with this whole thing? Do you think Jen should do exactly what men say and be like, check in every 2 minutes naturally, or do you think that it deflates the mystery and the sexiness of everything? You know, like, you know, now that you can't whip a girl to the wall and like rip off her clothes, you can't do that anymore, guys. So stop listening. That's another thing that I wanted to say. If that's not cool, stop putting it in movies.
Yeah, but it happens in movies on a consensual basis.
No, it doesn't. You don't see that. It cuts right into boom. The guy's ramming.
Oh my god, the new 50 Shades of Grey movie was crazy.
Like smashing the chick on the wall, and they start freaking having sex. There was no consent there.
I don't know, buddy.
No, but that's what I'm saying. So like, I want to see the most stale ass sex scenes now. You know, and
can I touch you?
Exactly.
Sure.
I want all of that. You know, like, what was it? There was a scene like that in Gods and Kings, the Exodus movie with Christian Bale and Joel Edgerton. I think that's what his name is. But yeah, where he asks, where Moses asks his wife like 10,000 times, "Is this okay? Can I do this?" or whatever, something like that. I'll try to find the scene, and I will put it on our website. So yeah, are guys overreacting, or is it, girl power all the way? It's like, that's right, you better ask, or whatever. How do you feel about the consent apps and all that stuff? Please write us in at bedlovebeyond@gmail.com. You can hit us up on our website, www.bedlovebeyond.com. You can give us a call or text us at 201-862-8BED. That is 201-862-8233. You can go to our Facebook, facebook.com/bedlovebeyond, or you can follow us at bedlovebeyond on Instagram, Twitter, Periscope, and YouTube. Thank you for listening to us on Podbean, iTunes, Pocket Cast, Stitcher, and
Google Play Music.
Please rate, review, like, and subscribe to us on any of the platforms that you listen to. And yes, give us 5 stars. And I mean, you've been rocking with us for 109 episodes, and I don't see any 5 stars. Go to iTunes, hit us with the 5 stars, please. Or like us on Podbeam or whatever. Check us out on, I don't know, Snooglefest or whatever. So, I am Martini.
I'm Jennifer.
And that is the end of the show. We'll see you guys later.